So here we have a selection of tropical fruits on offer at the breakfast buffet. Of course, there was always a lot of hot food, bacon, also rice and curry, and some baked beans, which I steered clear of because they would contain sugar. Variety of different eggs, so I've got scrambled there and some little egg cakes. And of course, lots of bread products, so I steered clear of those. And yes, even donuts for breakfast, but I said no to those this year. So this was more my cup of tea. Quite into having salads for my breakfast now. So I tend to head straight for the salad bar. Of course, continental breakfast always comes with cheese and meats, but tended not to go for those, definitely not the cheese. Now here was my staple breakfast most days, a couple of boiled eggs, and there's a few condiments there. But then again, more bread products, so we've got French toast and pancakes and some waffles, but I said no to those.
So we have a couple of boiled eggs, some bacon, tomato, and some bits from the salad bar, carrot and more tomato, and underneath there's cucumber. But that was pretty much everything that was there that was on my menu. We're on day 3 now of the holiday, and I wanted to do a quick update on how I've been getting on with the gluten, dairy and sugar-free diet. Well, day 1 I actually did pretty well, amazingly, considering I was really tired. I managed to avoid all those ingredients. We went to a island buffet restaurant in the evening, and I think, what did I have? I had fish skewers and some vegetables, and even when the dessert came round I just had a couple of slices of pineapple, which I know that is sugar because it's fructose, but I just had it plain, didn't have the ice cream, didn't have any sugary syrup. Then yesterday we decided to go to the Mediterranean place for lunch. Now that was probably a bit of a mistake because obviously most of the things on the menu was either pizza or it was a pasta dish. Now I thought I would be able to just ask for the topping of maybe one of the dishes on its own without the pasta, but the waiter just looked at me and said no. And I asked him if he could ask the chef to maybe just do that separately, and he said no, which made me wonder whether that actually they've made them all in advance and they're just heating it up in the microwave. I don't know, because otherwise why could you not do it separately? So I ended up having to order 3 different starters. One was a beef carpaccio, and then salmon tartare and something else. It was another fish thing, but they were so small it didn't really fill me up, which meant that by the time dinner came around and we booked ourselves into the Asian buffet that evening, we got there and I realised this was going to be impossible for me to do gluten and dairy and sugar-free, because basically you weren't ordering separate things. It was all there laid out in this buffet, and so I just had a selection of most things, but I did avoid the most obviously gluten-filled things, which was anything sort of fried in batter. Okay, so now it's lunchtime and we're at the Island Coffee Shop. Let's see what's on the menu that I can eat for this meal. So probably not any of those. Definitely not any of those. Possibly going to have to be a salad. Okay, so my lunch has arrived. Ta-da! Fish with salad. As you can see, I have just demolished a fruit plate, but had it with some mint. Most important, to help lower the glycemic load of the meal. Well, it's the end of day 3 and just been for a meal, which was really lovely, but right towards the end I started to get stabbing, shooting pains in my lower abdomen. Really hurt, not sure what was causing that, so it wasn't very pleasant and had to come back a bit early. So tried to follow all my normal eating guidelines, but something obviously triggered off the usual IBS symptoms. So yeah, feeling a bit rubbish now. But yeah, so I don't know what was going on with my stomach last night. It was absolutely in knots, and I've experienced that before. I think it's something that people with IBS do get, and it's like someone's just got knives, they're stabbing them into your stomach, and it's over in about 10 seconds, but it just kind of comes on in a wave, and you just have to sort of hold onto your stomach and rock backwards and forwards a bit, which isn't very pleasant. So it didn't last very long. It's gone now, hasn't come back, which is good. So this morning I played it safe at breakfast, just stuck to some boiled eggs, a little bit of bacon and some salad, so there wasn't any dairy or gluten or sugar in any of that. I'm not sure what we're going to do for lunch, so I think we're going to go to somewhere different today so that we don't have the pizza or pasta problem that we had yesterday, and me having to choose from just the starter. So all going well so far. Stomach's behaving itself again, which is good. Okay, I think it's day 5 of the holiday now, although I'm not entirely sure because I'm losing track. But I thought I would update on last night's meal. I didn't take my camera along to get any pictures, but we went to the Indian restaurant this time. And I thought actually that one would be quite tricky to be gluten, dairy and sugar-free, but actually I was surprised. There were quite a few different dishes that were cooked in the clay oven, which meant there was no sauce with them. So I was able to have some lamb chops coated in quite a mild spice, and they were just cooked plain. I had that with some boiled rice and also a vegetable dish, which was spinach and garlic. And I was actually quite surprised that of all of the sections of the menu, it was the vegetables that were the hardest to fit my dietary requirements, because most of them had cheese in with them or cream. So there was actually only the spinach and garlic dish that I could have. But then when it arrived, it was like this big gloopy green pond scum looking thing. Although it did actually taste really nice. I'm pretty sure it was probably cooked with butter and cream, but it was too late by then. So I had my digestive enzymes, so I just crossed my fingers and hoped for the best. So that was a really nice meal. This morning just kept it simple, went to breakfast and had 2 boiled eggs, some bacon and a chamomile tea. So we're midway through the holiday and we're at the island barbecue again this evening, and there's quite a lot on the menu to choose from, so hopefully I shall find something that is gluten, dairy and sugar free.
And for jumbo prawns, olive oil, peppercorn, onion, brandy, white wine, fresh cream, lime juice and butter. Everything okay?
Okay. Actually, is it possible to do it without the cream?
Yes.
And everything else? Great.
Ready? Okay. One more.
Thank you. Breakfast on day 6. I've already been for a little swim in the sea. Now I've got a huge plate of food, mostly bacon and some salad and eggs. So, this evening we're at the super posh restaurant that you have to book 2 days in advance to get into. And there's a lot on the menu, but will any of it suit the gluten, sugar and dairy free diet? Reporting from bed this morning on, I think, day 6, because I can't seem to get out of bed because I feel so tired. This is probably because I had a sugary dessert last night. We went to the really posh restaurant that you have to book really far in advance, but because it was such nice kind of food, it was a fine dining restaurant, I thought, well, I had to make the most of the fact that they had this really nice chocolate mousse dessert. And it was 3 little eggs made up of light, dark and milk chocolate with spices. And I think I'm suffering from it this morning because I feel really lethargic. My throat feels all furred up and my mouth just feels horrible. And I just feel as if I could stay in bed all day. And it reminds me of, this is how I used to feel in the morning when I would eat sugar throughout the day. So I'm going to have to make sure I take my tablets today and hopefully haven't undone all of the good work that I had done prior to now. But yeah, so just an example of how rubbish sugar can make you feel the next day. It's almost actually a bit like being hungover. I had a headache when I woke up and it was as if I'd been drinking alcohol. So same effect from sugar now.
It's Friday night, night 6 of the holiday, and we're returning to the Siam Garden Thai restaurant, where this time there's not a buffet, so it should be easier for me to ask the waitress what's in all the dishes on the menu, so I'll be able to more easily select something without gluten, dairy or sugar.
Back at the coffee shop for another lunch and have a yummy gluten-free salad full of carrot, cabbage, avocado, some apple in there, rice noodles and shrimps. Okay, we're off out to the Island Barbecue again this evening because we like it so much, and I'll let you know what I managed to find on the menu this evening. Well, as it turns out, in the last couple of days I've realised that you can actually get gluten-free bread here. I hadn't realised that in the beginning. One of the waiters last night said to me, oh, we didn't realise that you were avoiding gluten. Reception didn't tell us. Apparently you're meant to tell them at reception, and then they put a note down on your room number, so wherever you go for meals they'll just automatically bring you gluten-free bread. So the first half of the holiday I was just myself avoiding anything that would naturally have gluten in it anyway and just not having the bread. Dairy free, I think it's possible to do that too. Obviously it makes it a bit harder because a lot of the sauces they make will contain butter and cream, but if you're really super strict it's possible to do this one as well. But lastly, sugar. I personally don't think it's possible to completely avoid sugar, not as well as the other 2 ingredients. I mean, you can avoid the obvious things like desserts, which I will confess I haven't done, but it's just not possible to completely avoid sugar, because if, for example, you have the gluten-free bread, I'm pretty sure, well, in the UK it usually has sugar added to it, so it must do here as well. Then again, sauces, they usually have something sweet added into them. It might not be actual sugar, but it will probably be some other kind of spicy or sweet sauce that they've added in that's got fruit in it. So it's just not possible, I think, to avoid sugar completely. So that's my conclusion. Yes to gluten-free, yes to dairy-free, but impossible to do completely sugar-free. Final breakfast of eggs, loads of bacon, little bits of chicken, rice, carrot, tomatoes, cucumber,